Romeo Romini, and I'm here to have a discussion with you, a brief discussion with you about World War One and the Treaty of Versailles. Let's have a small track. In this study, we'll be looking at about 5 different things. We'll be looking at the introduction briefly. We'll be looking at the motive of the war victors. We'll be looking at the components of the Treaty of Versailles. We'll be looking at the consequences of the treaty. Then we'll be looking, just briefly, we'll be looking at the conclusion. Now to the introduction. You will recall the First World War, which means the first major war that happened, that the first major war that involved the world powers between 1914 and to 1918 was so disastrous. And because of the severity of this, because of the nature of this war, the world powers saw the need to avoid the reoccurrence of this war. That need created the mindset among world powers that there has to be a round table agreement that such a war will not repeat itself. This idea brought about the Paris Peace Conference in 1919. The Paris Peace Conference was actually to bring about was actually to close the gap between the winning side and the losing side. That is, they will come together to have a peaceful negotiation. But let me ask you this question. Did that conference bring about a positive peace or a negative peace? Alright. So out of this, I'll leave that to you to answer. So out of the agreement that came out of the agreement that came out of the Paris conference, one of those agreements, remember that there are about 5, but one of those agreements is the Treaty of Versailles. And this was an agreement between the Victoria Allied, that is the winning actors, and Germany. But let's go to this. Let me ask you the question: what was the motives of those winning actors? And that takes us to the motives. Note this: when we talk about the winning actors, we're actually talking about Britain, France, Italy. But in this, and also America, United States of America. But note something: Britain, France, Italy were major actors in the Paris conference, while United States of America was merely an observer. So, and these major actors had different interests, different motives on the way the peaceful agreement with Germany should go. Let me start with George Clemenceau. George Clemenceau had the motive of revenge on Germany, or nibbing Germany at the bud in a way that it will not rise again to attack her. Remember that this was coming from a person that witnessed the attack of Germany twice. Remember the Franco-Prussian War in 1870, and remember the attack in the First World War, during the First World War. For Lord George was a bit in the middle. When I say middle, it was on the side, a bit on the side of France and a bit on the side of United States of America. He had the opinion was that the treaty should be more lenient with Germany if positive peace or if original peace was to be achieved. So, but he was a bit skeptical on what America was saying about self-determination to colonies, that is independence to colonies. He was not on that part. It was not really cool with it. While America, as an observer, promoted one of the best things people have said, that one of the best things which we know, one of the best, he promoted ideas, which was in his 14 points about how peace can be achieved, especially after the war. And some of this was that they should be lenient on Germany. They should actually talk about. They should actually they should actually they should actually agree on disarmament. There should be self-determinations to small countries in Europe and even in other countries. He was talking about so many ideas. There should be an international cooperation which will be under the watchdog of the League of Nations. And those were great ideas which were coming from which was coming from Woodrow Wilson. But not this, he was merely an observer. But the largest voice that was actually added to was that of George Clemenceau. Why am I saying this? Let's look at let's look at the let's look at the component of the Treaty of Versailles. We have about 5 major components. We have the war guilt, we have reparation, we have territorial loss, we have armed force restriction, and we have League of Nations clause. What do we mean by, briefly, let me say this. War guilt, we mean that Germany was seen as the sole perpetrator for the First World War. By reparation, Germany was meant to pay a big amount of money back to the winning actors over a long period of time, which historians said that if they have done that, they might even they might pay that till 1984. When we talk about territorial loss, Germany was to lose territories in Europe and also in her colonies, places like Asek and Lorraine, colony like Cameroon, Tanganyika, and so on, and the likes and the likes. When we talk about armed force restriction, Germany was to reduce its army was to reduce its foot soldiers. They must not be more than 10,000 men. Like they were meant to have about just small size of battleship, no naval, and so on and so forth. So this was done in a way that they won't threaten anybody anymore. Then there was this League of Nations clause. Germany was to join the League of Nations on the clause that we were to join the League of Nations only when they fulfill the righteousness of France and Germany. That is, it's only when they are to join the League of Nations after fulfilling the peace qualification set by the winning actors. How did this? So what consequences are we talking about? All right. So let's look at the consequences. The consequences was in two perspectives. One was from Germany's perspective. It's actually, to the Germans, they saw that this painted them very, very bad. Then the second perspective is the world perspective. From the world perspective, the people saw that, I mean, this treaty, you can see from the display, the people saw that there was actually shady. These observers knew that there were some shady activities happening happening in world politics, and that was projected by the Treaty of Versailles. Now to the conclusion, let me ask you this question. Was the Treaty of Versailles fair? Especially when you think about all the things being said here. Talk about the introduction, talk about the motives of the winning actors, we talk about the component of the treaties or of the Versailles Treaty, and we talked about the consequences. With that idea, can you say that this treaty was fair? Note, history is not a monosyllabic course, so you can attack it from any side. With that, I'll come to the end of this video and I'll say thank you for your time.